Hello everyone, welcome to our channel, where dark, mysterious and slippery stories await the most assured souls. Today, I will tell you a story that is invited by no one, a story that carries the breath of the night and the whispers of the deep forest. This is not only a story for entertainment but also a warning, a reminder to hide among the old trees and the misty roads. So if you are ready to face your deepest fears, turn off the lights, put on your headphones and join me in the darkness, where forgotten secrets and the noises still echo. The mist clung to the twisted trunks of ancient trees, winding through the dense underbrush like the breath of a slumbering beast, its cold tendrils curling around the roots and low-hanging branches, wrapping the forest in a shroud of damp, suffocating silence. And as the sun dipped below the jagged peaks of the Cumbrian mountains, casting long shadows across the leaf-strewn ground, the air grew heavy, thick with the metallic scent of decaying leaves and damp earth, the kind of air that sticks to your skin and seeps into your bones. And as the last, dying rays of daylight filtered through the twisted limbs above, casting the forest floor in a sickly, yellow-green light, four friends trudged through the dense underbrush, their breath coming in ragged puffs, their boots sinking into the soft, moss-covered ground with each weary step, their backpacks sagging with the weight of tents, water, and the false confidence of youth. For they had come to these forgotten woods in search of adventure, a break from the mundane routine of city life, a chance to prove themselves against the wild, untamed wilderness of northern England. And they had laughed as they had set out that morning, their voices echoing through the narrow, fog-choked valleys, the sharp crack of breaking branches and the soft, wet squelch of mud beneath their boots the only response. For the forest had not welcomed them, had not whispered its ancient secrets into their ears, had not warned them of the darkness that lingered in its depths. And as the shadows grew longer, stretching like skeletal fingers across the twisted roots and gnarled trunks, the first shiver of unease crept up Emily's spine, her pale blue eyes darting from tree to tree, her breath catching in her throat as a flicker of movement, just at the edge of her vision, made her heart stutter. But when she turned, there was nothing, just the dense, oppressive wall of trees, their twisted branches swaying gently in a wind she could not feel, their trunks thick with lichen and moss, their roots rising from the ground like the bones of some ancient, long-dead creature. And she shook her head, forcing a nervous laugh as she adjusted the straps of her backpack, pushing the fear down, telling herself that it was just her imagination, that the forest was playing tricks on her, that the shadows were just shadows and the whispers that seemed to echo from the depths of the mist were nothing more than the wind rustling through the leaves. But as the group continued on, their voices growing quieter, their footsteps more hesitant, the air seemed to grow colder, the trees closer, their branches reaching out like the grasping hands of the dead. And Ben, the tallest of the group, his broad shoulders hunched against the chill, glanced back at the others, his dark eyes shadowed, his jaw tight, and he forced a grin, his voice loud, too loud, echoing off the twisted trunks. "Come on, you guys aren't scared, are you?" But his laugh rang hollow in the mist, swallowed by the trees, and Jack, always the loudest, always the first to crack a joke, snorted, his breath fogging in the cool air. "Scared of what, mate?" "A few trees and a bit of fog. Come on, we've got this." But even he seemed uneasy, his eyes flicking nervously from shadow to shadow, his hands clenching and unclenching at his sides, his footsteps quicker, more hurried, as if he could outrun the growing sense of dread that clung to the air like a wet shroud. And it was then, as the darkness deepened and the mist thickened, that they heard it, a low, wet, dragging sound, like the slow, deliberate pull of something huge and heavy being dragged across the forest floor. And they froze, their breaths catching in their throats, their hearts pounding in their chests as the sound grew louder, closer, the slow, steady scrape of flesh on stone, of bone on bark. And Emily felt the blood drain from her face, her fingers going numb around the straps of her backpack, her breath coming in short, panicked gasps as the sound echoed through the trees, bouncing off the twisted trunks and gnarled roots. And she turned, her eyes wide, her heart thundering in her chest, and there, just beyond the reach of her headlamp, she saw it, a twisted, hunched figure, its limbs too long, its joints bent at impossible angles, its skin stretched tight over bone, its eyes glowing like twin embers in the darkness. And it moved with a slow, deliberate grace, its long, clawed fingers dragging through the mud, its head tilting to the side as it regarded her, its mouth opening slowly, impossibly wide, revealing rows of jagged, broken teeth that glistened in the pale, sickly light. And she tried to scream, tried to warn the others, but her voice stuck in her throat, her legs turning to lead, her heart pounding so loudly she thought it might burst, and the creature took another step forward, its breath a low, guttural growl that echoed through the fog, its eyes never leaving hers, and then, with a sudden, violent lunge, it was upon her, its claws sinking into her flesh, its teeth tearing into her throat, and the world went black, her last, desperate scream swallowed by the trees, and the forest, that ancient, twisted tangle of roots and branches, sighed with a deep, satisfied breath, the mist curling around, its limbs like the smoke from a dying fire, and somewhere, deep within the shadows, the creature dragged its latest kill into the darkness, its eyes glowing with a terrible, ancient hunger, its growl echoing through the trees as the fog closed in once more, sealing the forest in silence, and the world outside turned, oblivious, the mountains casting long, jagged shadows across the valley as the sun set, and the forest, that dark, forgotten place, whispered its ancient, hungry song, its roots drinking deep from the blood-soaked earth, its twisted branches swaying gently in a wind that carried the echoes of the dead, and the thing that hunted within its depths smiled, its teeth glistening with the blood of the foolish, the brave, and the damned. Thank you for listening to this story. Hopefully it has brought you moments of suspense and a little shiver, as if you were lost in the middle of a dark forest, where shadows always seem to be watching from behind. If you feel your heart still beating fast, if you look around and feel the cold running down your spine, then perhaps you have touched a part of the primal fear, something that humans have tried to escape from since the beginning. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next horror stories. And remember, sometimes darkness is not just the absence of light, but the presence of things we cannot see. See you in the next nightmares.